Your need for other people to believe that you're right automatically makes you wrong. Let me say that again, just to make sure that we're understanding here. Your need for other people to believe that you're right automatically makes you wrong. Not being right all the time. I'm not talking about you being right. It's a matter of, is it important to you that other people believe that you're right when you are right? I'm saying this from experience. I learned this. This was part of my journey in emotional intelligence. And it was one thing a couple years ago, and I realized, hey, I control my own emotions. I don't have to let other people control my emotions. The guy that flips me off on the interstate, or even someone that I know very well. They say something that kind of seems kind of brushing me off or kind of rude. I don't have to be offended by that. They don't control my emotions. I do. I was giving so much access to my life, my emotions, my thoughts, my time to other people and anyone in my life. And I finally stopped doing that. Well, it is a journey though. And perhaps one of the newest things I learned only back in the fall, only a couple months ago, was the concept that up until that point, it still mattered to me that other people believed that I was right when I was right. And now I see that that was simply insecurity. I was insecure because I wasn't okay until other people knew and admitted that I was right. I saw this little cartoon on the internet, and it showed a person, they're getting ready for bed. They're at the end of the day, they're finally ready to relax. They lay down in bed, their eyes closed, smile on their face. And then the last little square in the cartoon, their eyes were wide open and it said, "But wait, someone might be wrong on the internet." And that was my problem. I needed for other people to know that I was right. That's insecurity. Now I can live my life. I can live my life and know that people are wrong and not care that they're wrong. I don't care that they're wrong. And I also know too that a lot of times I'm wrong anyway. So why do I even want to put myself in a situation where there's still a good chance I could be wrong and then I'll even look like a bigger fool? It's this concept that I think here was my problem. I thought that I was gaining respect from people by proving how smart I was and proving that I was right about trivial things. And it actually did the opposite. It made them respect me less. Even if I did prove it on my phone, whatever the thing was, that I was right, that made them respect me less. So even though I just wanted them to know that I was right, the plan backfired. Let me give you two examples of this. So back about 6 years ago, in my office where I worked at the time, there was a guy, a coworker, and he was talking about the New Radical song, You Get What You Give, is the name of the song. And he was talking about the lyrics. He said, yeah, that song from the 80s, only one dance left, you get what you give. I was like, oh yeah, the New Radicals is from the late 90s. I was in high school when it came out. And this guy being, 12 years older than me said, no, that song's from the 80s. You can tell from the sound of it. That's been around a long time. To which I rebutted, well, but it came out when I was in high school. And then he said, I will bet you $5 it's from the 80s. I said, okay, sure. I said, but before I take your money, you do realize that in the bridge of the song, it talks about Marilyn Manson, Beck and Hanson, go run to your mansions and all that. I said, why would he even say that if it were in the 80s? Those acts weren't even around until the 90s when the song actually came out. He was referencing other musicians. And the guy still said, no. I don't know, but it was from the 80s. So then he looked up his phone and he gave me $5. I won. He respected me less. He didn't respect me more as I took his $5. Next story takes place about a year and a half ago. Same office, different guy. Somehow it comes up about that commercial from the 70s with it's an anti-littering commercial. And it shows a Native American as he watches someone throw trash out of their car and then he cries, right? Everyone knows that commercial. And I said, actually, turns out he wasn't even Native American. He was Italian. Often in Hollywood, when you see someone who's supposed to be Native American, they're actually Italian because there's a resemblance between Italians and Native Americans. And he's like, no way, that's a Native American. I said, no, he's actually an American actor who's an Italian American, and a lot of his roles were actually Native American. And no. So this is going back and forth in debate. To which, knowing from the years before when I won the other bet, I said, I'll bet you $5 that he's definitely an Italian American and he's 0% Native American. And finally, the guy said, okay, fine, $5. And you know what happened? I won the bet. I took his $5 and he lost respect for me. He never looked at me the same way after that. And I worked with him a while after that. He never respected me the same. And he even said a couple weeks later, he's like, why do you think you always have to be right about everything? And what's funny is I was right. That time, and I was right before the other guy, I was right. That never mattered. It never mattered that I was right. What mattered is that people respected me. That's what matters for all of us. It matters that people, what doesn't matter is so much what people think about us, but it does matter that people respect us to the best of our ability. So with me going around being right about things and making sure they knew that I was right, they weren't respecting me. What should I have done in the past? It would have been fine to say, well, actually, yeah, that song came out in the 90s. I was in high school. Or I could say, well, actually, yeah, just look it up. He's an Italian American. And then if they didn't believe me, which they wouldn't have, just went on with my day and said, okay, yeah, maybe you're right. And let that been it. Secretly, I would have known that I was right. It wouldn't have mattered that they knew any difference, and they would have respected me more. And only in hindsight have I done that enough to now realize often I'm right, but it doesn't matter. If that person believes that they're right, I can maybe just calmly let them know otherwise. But if they rebuttal, let them believe it. Let other people go on in their version of reality, which may be wrong. Let them believe it. They'll respect you more. At least you tried, and then you move on. Because your identity should not be shaken or changed in any way by the fact that someone doesn't agree with you, even when you're right. Of course, on the flip side, there's the fact that we're not always right anyway. Just like the thing I love to say on this channel is don't you think if I were wrong, I'd know it? And that's what everyone believes. No one believes they're wrong. So then they're just arguing with each other. But we can avoid this altogether by not caring, A, if we're right, and B, not trying to convince the person that we are right. People lose respect for us when we try to convince them that we are right and they are wrong. Most of the time they have identity protective cognition, meaning anything we say is only going to backfire and mean that they believe what they already believe more. And even when you do prove it, if you can prove that you're right, then it still backfires because they don't respect you as much. No one wants to be corrected in that sort of way when they are already so strong in their beliefs. So, if you have a strong desire, if it's important to you that other people know that you're right, you're automatically wrong. It's holding you back in life. I'm saying this from experience. I've learned the hard way. I know now, never tell another man he's wrong. Definitely don't, just let him believe it. You become a better person by not trying to argue with someone who's wrong. Just let it go. It shows confidence on your part by not trying to convince another person that you're right. Even when you are, and you may be right most of the time, still doesn't matter. That's missing the point. Your need to convince other people that you're right always makes you wrong.